Well, today is October 13th, a Thursday. As you know, it's Impact Wrestling time, so normally we only do that. But however, I decided to review a much recent event by WrestlePro where Brooklyn is at, which is featuring a bit of a Royal Rumble crowning an interim world champion. And there's the tag team titles on the line and several other things. But also, I'm going to do something a little different. As you know, I do once in a while one of those discussions where we talk about certain individual wrestlers. Well, mostly I've been talking about the Joshi wrestlers. Well, today is another treat for everyone. We're going to be talking about Mina Shirakawa, who is from Stardom and also a member of one of my favorite factions, Cosmic Angels. And I want to say this on record, Mina is one of my absolute favorite ones. And the reason we're talking about her, as you know, she's been making headways because right now she has been developing a lot better, and next month she'll be challenging for the white belt against Saya Kamitani. But also we got some news updates regarding what's been going on in the pro wrestling with individuals, but also we got some GCW updates involving that and Pro Wrestling Guerrilla with their upcoming event, DINK. So let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So let's begin with WrestlePro with their latest event, where Brooklyn's at. So basically, this took place on the 8th of October. Now, it opened up with LSG versus Dan Math. Now, this is another case of David versus Goliath. Dan Math is a big individual, but the obvious question is, can LSG able to overcome it? Well, it did not go so well on his part because he ended up with a somewhat of a discus lariat type onto him. 1, 2, 3, it was over. But that does not end there between those two. I'll explain a little later why. Next match we have TJ Crawford versus GMKM. So I thought this is a very interesting matchup because I did not know much about it, but I was impressed with the how this match ended because have you guys ever seen the Cloud Cutter or the Oz Cutter, however you want to see it, in that combination? That fits perfectly. TJ Crawford did that with GMK, but he was the fan favorite in this particular match. But however, Crawford was the one who walked out as the victor with that move. Next up, we got J. Rue versus Hot Dog Steaks. I don't know what the hell they call it. Hot Dog Steaks is kind of weird, but everybody seems to love them. First time seeing these two guys, but Hot Dog Steaks was the one that walked out as victor with a pinfall. Like, not a big deal because I didn't know much about it, but I'm willing to fit it. Now, this next title is based from Alaska, called the 907 Pro Wrestling title. We have Ricos taking on AJ Radical. Now, Nikos would do anything to ensure he gets this title, but however, the ref was knocked out. Basically, he was out. But luckily, AJ Radical's fiance shows up and decides to be the ref. Now, you can say she's gonna no, she called it right in the middle like everything else. However, the only thing she had to do is, of course, is when um what's the name, Nikos was trying to use the ropes to swing away, she kicked her feet right onto the ropes to let him go, and of course ended up with the roll up, giving AJ Radical the chance to retain the title. So the commentator thought that, oh no, he was holding on to the ropes to ensure he wins, but that doesn't work. Now, our next match we have is the WrestlePro Tag Team titles in a Brooklyn Street style street fight between we got the Carnage Crew, Locke and DeVito versus Iron Savages Boulder and Brosen, who are the champions, formerly known as Bear Country. This was one of those matches where it took them to war against anybody in their wake. Basically, it just fits in great with them. However, I was surprised that it was the Big O that sealed the deal onto Locke, giving um, Iron Savages the win. However, they are willing to do it again with these guys. I feel like they really made this match memorable, and I think that's what it is. I'm a big fan of tag team. I've always been because I like the cohesiveness of tag teams. I've always been honest about that. So, good job, guys. Our next match we have Vargas versus Anthony. Don't know who's Anthony, but this match was how we considered a squash match. Vargas powerbombed them. It's over, just like that. Now, our next match is part of the semifinals of the WrestlePro Women's Tournament. We have Freya the Slayer all the way from Alaska taking on the coolest wrestler, Lady Frost. I thought this match was going to be good because these two ladies are amazing. Freya the Slayer has been at the top of her game before. Uh, Lady Frost has too. But I have to say, Lady Frost picked up a very impressive win when she applied the moonsault. 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our main event, this is a Rumble match for the WrestlePro Interim Golden title. So it was vacant. I don't know much about the whole thing, but we had wrestlers, even the ones that already wrestled throughout the entire time. But I'm willing to skip to the finals. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. We started this entire event with LSG versus Dan Maff. How do you think the Rumble ended? With those two in the end. I'm like, what the fudge? How did we get from point A to point Z in that matter? You know, it made no sense, but it was great. But I think this is one of those matches where LSG was able to redeem himself from losing that match against Dan Maff and becoming our brand new WrestlePro Interim Golden Champion. So this is one of his proudest moments. I wouldn't be surprised if Dan Maff challenges that belt one way or the other. So I have to say it was very interesting from start to finish. We started with LSG versus Dan Maff and it ended right at the last two of the Rumble match. What a bizarre twist. But I like it. So I think that's pretty much it what we have with WrestlePro. I believe it's time for Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling. As you know, we just entered the fallout after one of the most biggest events in Impact Wrestling history, Bound for Glory. But of course, like any other way to start the show with after the fallout, our current Impact Wrestling World Champion, Josh Alexander, comes out. As you know, he talks about that he went to war and all that. But that wasn't the case of his reasons of being out there. There is one particular thing that many fans questioned, and that question is Bully Ray. Now, Bully Ray, as you know, he won the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. He had an opportunity to cash it in, similar to what we saw with Moose last year. However, that didn't happen. Now, Bully Ray explained his reasons. He knows what happened to Alexander. He knows all this and that, but he said he wants to do things the right way. However, many people question, really? That really goes? But the ones who spoke out about it is Steve Macklin. He goes out to say, why was Bully Ray involved in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match? Because he said Bully Ray had some sort of political pull. Now keep in mind, things that go on behind the scenes, it's all about politics. That's always been the clear-cut case for me as a fan to understand. If you guys don't understand that, then I wish I can explain it to you completely. But however, Moose comes out, does the same thing too, but in a way, he kind of reveals something. We all can agree Moose is a scumbag. Now, not to make things personal, but the question is, okay, we know Moose is a scumbag. But the obvious question is, where did he got it from? And Moose explained it. He explained it that he was influenced by Bully Ray. He says that Bully Ray is a much bigger scumbag than him. It makes perfect sense. So the obvious question is he really going to do things the right way? Or is he pulling people's chains? However, while this all bickering is happening, I have to say, one person I did not anticipate is Bobby Fish. He shows up like going, yeah, I know what you guys are talking about. So, he initiated himself as part of the list of wrestlers that are targeting the Impact Wrestling World title. So that's always been the clear case. So, however, now Alexander, he's not sure yet about Bully, but one thing is certain about him is that he will not turn down a challenge by Bobby Fish. Now, much of this I'm gonna skip a little bit about what put ahead about all of this. Now, the more talked about Bully to Alexander, telling him he's predictable. You should keep your eyes and ears open because you may never know what he's going to do. Now, he may say that he wants to do things the right ways, but don't let your guard down. I think that's what the message is. That there's that. And then, of course, Tommy Dreamer goes out of his way to talk to Bully and tells him, look, if you want to do things the right way, we need to prove that Doubter's wrong. So, much like Tommy Dreamer hears things in the grapevine and he knows people are doubting Bully Ray. Me, I'm one of those people that think, is he really going to do things the right way, or is he going to be like we saw with Ace and Nates, with something that I failed to mention that Macklin talked about? It's true, he did that. So, we don't know. But we'll find out when that day comes. Now, our interview we get is from the Motor City Machine Guns. Now, as you know, there was a highway robbery by them with them against the Honor More OGK members, Bennett, Taven, and Bennett. However, they said they deserve another shot. However, they came out while they were reaching the Moore's office. Here comes coming out of the office is Rhino and Heath. Now, they also had a similar thing, but the only thing is they had an opportunity to get a shot of the tag titles, but however, they didn't get the chance thanks to Honor No More. But now they get their chance because they know that that they were robbed. But they did say if they do beat Honor No More, they'll give them tag team title opportunity. And I think Machine Guns, okay, they understand that. So we just got to wait and see when that happens. That will take place next week. Now, our first match we have is a no disqualification match. Tasha Steelz along with Savannah Evans taking on Killer Kelly. Now, this match was set because after what happened at Victory Road, it kind of went out of proportion, ended in a disqualification match. But this time, Steelz is willing to dismantle Killer Kelly in every way possible. Even Savannah Evans tried to get involved. It did not work. But, however, it did allow for Killer Kelly to apply the Killer Clutch, forcing Tasha Steelz to, of course, tap out. But the real question is the Bodega Badass not the baddest anymore? Or is the killer of Kelly really, how do I say, making noise to everyone in the so-called flavor division? Well, we won't know until we see it. However, there was a recent backstage interaction between Swinger, Dice, along with Joe Hendry. They were discussing all this and that about the dungeon. But however, they were interrupted by these minions that we've seen from Violent by Design vignettes. However, someone took matters in their own hands to send a direct message and that is Sami Callihan. So what's going on with them, I'm sure Sami will deal with it soon enough. Now, our next match, we have a bit of a six-way match, more like, okay, who could get the much motivation to an X Division title shot? We have Alex Zane, Kenny King, Yuya Uemura, Trey Miguel, Laredo Kid, and Black Taurus. Now, there were some great moments in this match, a lot of spots, especially with the interaction with Trey Miguel and Alex Zane. But it was, of course, the what was it? Somewhat of a tequila shot type of move that Trey Miguel allowed the win. I would have assumed he would apply the Meteora. It did not, but Trey Miguel won the match. However, after this match, we see, of course, after this match, we see Frankie Kazarian coming into the Impact Zone. He bumps into Mike Bailey, our former Impact X Division champion. He decided to pay his respects to Frankie Kazarian and all this and that. But, however, Trey Miguel shows up and saying, that whoever does, if he's planning to catch in his rematch clause, he's probably next in line, whoever comes out. However, it appears Frankie said, look, I was the future. He sees the future with them bright. But it appears like Frankie Kazarian has other plans. It was still unclear why, but we'll see what happens then. Now, our next match we have is a six-woman tag team match, trios. We had Vex, Deonna Purrazzo, and Chelsea Green teaming up with the quintessential diva Giselle Shaw to take on Death Dolls, Rosemary, Taya Valkyrie, and of course Jessica. The match was pretty good, I have to say. I like how Death Dolls are now being more cohesive than they ever were before. But however, it was the knee strike by Shaw that allowed on Rosemary, that allowed her team to win, to send a direct message that that Vix will be coming back to reclaim what is theirs, and that is the Knockouts tag team titles. Now, Honor No More, as you know, for two things. By now, things did not go exactly according to plan for them. As you know, Kenny King was unable to obtain the X Division title. Eddie Edwards, same thing. But, however, right now they're more concerned the fact that they're pissed off knowing that they have to face Rhino and Heath, a team they felt, no, they don't deserve it, but they have to. Once again, they're throwing their little conspiracy theories just to make it clear. Now, our next match, we have Matt Cardona versus Bhupinder Gurjar. Now, this is more of a revenge thing from what happened to Call Your Shot. Gurjar was the one who got him out, eliminated, but not at the same time. Do not forget that it was Gurjar who's been chasing Brian Myers for the Digital Media Championship, or as Cardona calls it, the Digital Media World Championship. It's not a world title, but he's delusional. So that's how it goes. But however, Myers' presence distracted Gurjar, but it did allow for, of course, Cardona to apply the radio silence and win the match. Now, it appears that the major players are making their headways, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out why. There is the possibility that they may want to challenge for the Impact World Tag Team titles. So it's a possibility for that, but we'll get to that next week when we see it. Now, Mickie James, as you know, Mickie James' last rodeo continues on. She talks about how she gives respect to Mia Yim, going all out, not holding back. But of course, Green, Purrazzo, and Shaw are not saying that Mickie should be giving them respect. But however, apparently Mickie had an idea. How about Green be the one to be in the rodeo? But however, she decided to back down because they have more pressing matters for that. But Mickie James said, well, good luck. So the obvious question is, will Chelsea Green accept it? Well, we don't know. We'll just wait and see what happens. Now, because of this, Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer, they even mentioned earlier that they were willing to team up. So it looks like someone caught wind of it, and that is the Bullet Club, more consistent Bay and Austin, and apparently they will handle this match next week. But however, we will see how Bully will do to prove the doubters wrong. But of course, we know Bullet Club how they are. It's all just too sweet for them. Now, our main event is the Impact World title between Bobby Fish and Josh Alexander. I thought this match was great. A lot of technical aspect because both men are the same type, but we know that Alexander has taken on every other person. But however, he couldn't pull the leg lock because I'm sure Bobby Fish might figure out a way to get out. But luckily, it was the C4 spike that allowed him to seal the deal. We thought it was a great moment and it was a great match, but also we thought this would end in a much interesting manner. While Josh Alexander was celebrating, here comes Frankie Kazarian, and the moment I saw him, I realized what it was. It doesn't take a genius to figure out. Now, for those who don't understand what exactly was going on, Frankie Kazarian exercised his right for option C. Now, for those who don't know what is option C, option C is for anybody who has heavyweight contendership, but they are willing to give up the X Division title for a shot of the Impact World title. Now, Josh Alexander did this maneuver last year when he was the X Division champion, and the idea was planted to him by Chris Sabian, and he challenged Christian for the Impact World title last year at Bound for Glory, and that's how it is. So basically, Josh Alexander has another opponent that wants to get a shot, and I'm sure he's gonna say no to him. So I have to say, great Fallout. I enjoyed every match. It was great. I like the storylines. I love it. So I think that's pretty much it right now with reviewing everything. So let's move on with DWZ Discussions.
Get the guns, the drugs from my generation. I'll take the fall, the states, and across the nation. And it's a sin, the guns, the fake, the fraud, the messing with me. Come on, come on, come on, let's get it on. Move to the music, play that fucking music. Move it to the music, yeah. Move to my music, play that fucking music. Live through my music, yeah. Now get the guns, the drums from my generation. I'll take the fall, the stage, and across the nation. And it's a sex, the gods, the fakes, the fraud, they're messing with me. Come on, come on, come on, let's get it on. Move to the music, play that fucking music. Move it to the music, yeah. Move to my music, play that fucking music. Live through my music.
Okay, welcome to DWZ Discussions. Today's discussion is about one particular Joshi wrestler who's been making headways recently, mostly coming from Stardom. As you know, people can say she wasn't the best wrestler, but we can all agree she has grown up very fast and she has becoming a better wrestler than she ever was. And I'm talking about Mina Shirakawa. Now, who is Mina Shirakawa? What do we know about her? So, I do know that she was born on December 26, 1987. She's a Tokyo girl. So basically, if you guys knew that. I was aware that her birthday was on the 26th due to the fact that that was the day she had her nose broken 2 years ago in 2020 because of Julia, and she was the one that caused it. However, there's a lot of things about her people may or may not know. She was a bikini model, a gravure idol, and of course, new information came in. Apparently, she also did some acting. One of the informations I know, she showed up in this movie called Ghost Roads, a Japanese rock and roll story that took place on 2017, which is a year prior before she entered the wrestling business. This was a comedy film from understanding. So it's called Ghost Roads, a Japanese rock and roll story. If you guys are thinking about using it, someone already on Twitter talked about looking for it. I would love to see it how it goes. According to what they're saying, she played a groupie in the movie. Don't ask me why, but hopefully one day I get to see it. Now, she did not enter the wrestling business until 2018. She did a lot of freelancing, working with different promotions during that time. She worked with Best Body Japan Pro Wrestling, which is more like, uh, muscles and all that stuff. My understanding, Mina Shirakawa was the first ever women's champion, even though she had Lex experience and all this and that. I'm like, I don't know why. But she has worked with DDT Pro Wrestling in the past, even Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, where she spent much of her time. She has been in many matches, but none of those timings she's ever won a championship belt. She was still doesn't have the experience that she need. But however, in 2020, she made the decision in September to leave Tokyo Joshi Pro since her contract expired. She moved on to the best next thing, and that is Stardom. Now, why Stardom in particular? If you guys remember clearly, when Bushiroad purchased Stardom in 2019, the idea was to attract more Yoshi wrestlers from other promotions who were intending to leave. And that was one of the most reasons. If you guys remember 2019, we saw that with Julia, who did that, and now Mina came around. Now, I want to correct myself on certain things about Mina that also I did not know. She also wrestled in a CMLL ladies ring, basically an all-female wrestling match, and she also wrestled in Spain for RCW. She's good friends with Nightshade, who I mentioned on Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling's recent event, Wrestle Princess 3, where she lost in the Princess Tag Team titles. So she's good friends with her. So it's great, and she had time to see her before she left back to the UK. Now, her initial first match she ever had in Stardom took place in October 3rd, where she faced Hanan from Stars. Uh, she was successful. However, the following day, she meets Tam Nakano, who we all know if this happened, Tam Nakano was very interested in her, and that's what made the whole thing between them become good friends. Tam Nakano reasons that she became friends with her and teamed up was the fact that Tam can relate to Mina. Mina is an outsider. Basically, she wasn't bred as a Stardom wrestler like certain members from Stars, like Mayu, Hanan, Koguma, Azuki, those people. Tam was in that same predicament, even though she came from at-risk girls, and it's totally understandable. So Tam and Mina teamed up for the Goddess Tag League, unsuccessful. But however, during the time of the tournament, Tam Nakano asked Mayu that she would like her to join Stars, and of course, she accepted. Basically, we all thought it was the most happiest time for Stars to gain a new member, but it did not go exactly like thought. A following month, it became clear there was a bit of a showdown between Star members. Mayu, Starlight Kid, and Fukigen Death Pride before those two ended up with Oda Tai. It appears there was a 3-on-3 match. So Tam even asked Mina if she trusts her. Mina have always trusted Tam ever since then. And of course, that was the day when, on November 14th, the day the Cosmic Angels were born. They introduced Unagi Sayaka, who also Mina knows from Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. This was their first successful match as a trios. However, Mina did not initiate the win, but it was Tam who did, and that was the day Cosmic Angels were formed. They were considered as a subunit within Stars. Now, many people were asking, where they leave? That did not happen. But they were undefeated as a trios team with all three members. Now, for many of you may notice how Mina talks, doing like ladies and gentlemen, all that. Mina is very fluent in English. From what she said, she had before I think she might have spoke English 15, 16, 17 years now, and she always uses that as a way to communicate with fans and get the fans going. However, as an undefeated trios team, it gave the Cosmic Angels the opportunity to challenge for the artist belts. Now, that particular match took place some point in December, but they defeated Oda Tai, consistent with Natsuko Tora, B. Priestley, and Saki Kashima. That gave them the opportunity to win the match, but however, their next challengers was the one team that Mayu wants to destroy. Of course, that was Stars. Now, this showdown lended up all the way to Osaka Dream Cinderella. I believe that's the one. And no, Nippon Budokan. I think that was the one. I'm not sure. I don't remember very much, but it was in 2020. It was an elimination match between Cosmic Angels and Stars, consistent with Mayu Itani, Starlight Kid, and Gokigen Death, now known as Fukigen. What happened is Tam and Mina were the ones eliminated, but Mina was the one who picked up the win. Now, many fans questioned this particular match, saying it should have been Tam, but I think Mina was the one who ended up being one. She eliminated all three members of Stars, but in the process of that, there was going to be another match between Stars due to the fact that they had another opportunity, but this time they added Saida because before this event, Stars did have a win over them, with not only with Mayu and Kid. Saida was involved in that particular match as well. So that led to the match to take place, but it was postponed due to Mina being, injured thanks to Julia on her birthday on December 26th. She broke her nose, but she was out for 2 months. Now, while she was out, Mina and Tam decided to proceed for the white belt. As for Unagi, she ended up doing her 7 trials. But there were times whenever they ended up back in Tokyo, Mina comes out as one of their seconds, which is okay. Basically, as long as she's not wrestling, she can be that. But she did make her return on March 3rd of 2021 of last year for the All-Star Dream Cinderella in the Rumble match along with Unagi. However, Mina did not win that match. That match was won by Unagi. Since then, they were able to put their artist belts on the line, but I failed to mention just right now, Tam was the winner of the white belt. Now, the artist belts were later challenged again by Stars. They were consistently winning matches as Stars, as the artist belts, winning the most consecutive victories. Now, keep in mind, they beat out Stars all the way to, I think, to 7 victories as we speak. However, there was the moment where Mina made the decision to challenge for the white belt, but Tam kind of laughed at her, basically thinking that, she probably didn't have what it takes. But Mina decided to have this idea where she went to a more like a bloody, what this guy named Meerkat calls the bloody angel. She dyed her hair and does these crazy moves. But that match showed, okay, that Mina had what it takes to beat Tam. Unfortunately, she did not win that match, so it was Tam who retained the title. But since then, Mina continued on with the artist belts. But unfortunately, those artist belts were lost by DDM, more consistent with Maika, Himeka, and Natsupoi. But they never proceed those belts until later on, where they were unsuccessful in a draw. Even Mina tried again when Sakurai was still a member of Cosmic Angels, as you know, because Mina and Sakurai did got close, and also the newest, and of course Waka too, when she joined last year. And of course, to Mina's surprise, she finds out that Waka knows how to speak English. So that's a good thing for her to have a friend who can speak English. But the remainder of 2021 wasn't much of a big deal after losing the artist belts. But however, things have changed after, of course, we saw Julia made headways to get her revenge on Cosmic Angels. But in the process, in the early 2022, Mina had to witness how Mai Sakurai turned on Cosmic Angels. So basically, nothing between that has ever changed. Nothing special with Mina comes around until there was that one moment where everybody from Cosmic Angels except Waka comes out wearing the Yushin Thunder Liger mask. Now, those who don't know, Yushin Thunder Liger is one of Mina's favorites. So she is a big fan. She's a fangirl. So during a match against Queen's Quest, everybody from Cosmic Angels except Waka, they come out wearing the mask, and they won the entire match for Liger, who was at commentary. So basically, Liger was happy and, of course, fist bumped Mina. So Mina was very happy. This was one of her emotional times for her, showing that they appreciate Liger, and they won this one just for him. But after that, of course, we did not witness anything change until Colors first came around. Things were going great. Basically, nothing important comes around when ever since Colors, but they were happy that they aligned themselves with another unit, and that's in that. But I think the biggest moment is, of course, is the bit of the jealousy that many people brought up, and that took place on July 19th when we witnessed Natsupoi betraying BDM. Now, a lot of people question how did Mina react, because Mina is self-aware about the history between Tam and Natsupoi. Now, if you guys know the history, Tam and Natsupoi known each other back in 2015. So they have a bit of a history. So many people claim that those two teaming up, that Natsupoi joined, was a bit now that she's going to take the attention away from Mina. And this is something that we've seen before with stars. Now, keep in mind, Mayu did the same thing to Tam, but Tam treats everyone equally, unlike Mayu, you know? And I think that's what people led to believe, that, oh, Mina's going to leave Cosmic Angels because of Natsupoi. They've been speculating that the entire time, and I understand that. But it was more than that. And I think the real testament happened is during the start of the 5-star Grand Prix. Since then, nothing has changed. Now, during the opening round of the 5-star Grand Prix, well, before that, as you know, Mina entered the 5-star Grand Prix. I like to say this is the turning point for her, where we're seeing she finally improved. One of her biggest goals is to win the white belt. But what people don't realize, certain wrestlers in her block, she ended up in the Blue Star block, are either the current winner of the current white belt champion or former white belt champions. I believe the ones who were former in her block was Julia, Mayu, who else? I think, oh yeah, of course, Kamitani is there. So basically, she has 2 former champions and a current champion in the block. So each of them is one of the things that I've noticed. But, oh yeah, and Momo, I forgot. Momo is also a former champion. However, on the first day of the opening round of the 5-star Grand Prix, Mina took on Momo Watanabe. Many people thought Mina's going to lose that match. But however, she was able to pick up the win with the Mina collection and pin her. But also, there was 2 reasons why for that match was important. One, she defeated a former white belt champion, which is a definite plus in her career. And 2, Momo is 1/3 of the artist belts, so she initiated a challenge against those belts. Unfortunately, it did happen where, of course, Mina teamed up with Unagi once again, but they bring Saki into the fold. That match took place, I believe, in July. However, they were unable to obtain it thanks to Momo using her little wrench. But since then, yeah. But Mina was disappointed that she lost. But there was many people that felt jealousy because of Tam Nakano and Natsupoi winning the goddess belts. But there was more later on that we witnessed after that. One of Mina's two of Mina's matches that I noticed in the 5-star Grand Prix is Mayu Iwatani and Julia. Now, let me explain certain things. Mayu hasn't wrestled Mina for a while, but she's willing to admit how Mina has changed. In this particular match, Mina became more methodical. She targeted the back of the neck of Mayu, and I think Mayu underestimated her, and I think she's willing to admit this is not the same Mina she met back in 2020. Even Julia said it herself, because if you guys witnessed, Mina was targeting the knee of Julia, and it was a good way. But however, she lost those 2 matches But it did show that Julia and Mayu are willing to admit Mina's not the same anymore. But one of the most interesting matches during the 5-star is when she defeated Ami Sodi by using a figure 4 leg lock. This was huge because Ami Sodi is one of the most newer powerhouses in Stardom, and that led to her to have a really good match. But that doesn't end there. She did have a really good, impressive match that took place, and that is none other than Saya Kamitani at Korakuen Hall. This particular match is what led to her finally getting an opportunity for the challenge. She defeated Mayu Kawatani with the Mina driver, and boom, right from there she left her flat down, and her arm did not kicked out one way or the other. It did give her the opportunity. Even Cosmic Angels were happy knowing that Mina did something. She pinned the champion. Now, Saya Kamitani in this particular tournament only had 3 losses. One was with Kid, the other with Suzuki, and then Mina. So this led to another clear message to, of course, to Mina. But however, that does not end right there with Mina Shirakawa. There is one more obstacle she had to go through. It was during the finals, and that is none other than the newest teammate, one half of the Goddesses tag champs, Natsupoi. Now, many people presume this was about the attention of Tam. No, Mina's willing to admit it had nothing to do with that. There was another reason why. Natsupoi, if you guys been aware, last year, when Tam Nakano was, of course, the white belt champion, Natsupoi challenged for that belt, lost. Then she tried again, but that was when Saya Kamitani became the champion. She tried as well, lost. So it's no secret that Natsupoi would like to make another play for that belt somewhere down the line. So it was more, to me, in my opinion, like, okay, who in Cosmic Angels is going to be the one to challenge Kamitani for the white belt? And I think that says it all. And I think the match proved it, that Mina earned that position to go and challenge for that belt. And like I said, Mina has become more methodical on her movesets by locking in on the knees of her opponents. She did that already with Ami Suri. She did that with Julia. She did that with Kamitani. And she even did it with Natsupoi. But she did apply the figure 4 leg lock, forcing Natsupoi to tap out. But I think in the way after the match, when Tam was carrying Natsupoi, I think she was asking for her blessing, saying that I'm challenging for the white belt. And I think Tam understands that. So it was later announced during a press conference earlier this month of October, where Mina challenged the title. She signed the contract. However, Saya Kamitani has been declared by certain fans that I've been watching on YouTube. They're calling her the deceiver because she cries a lot. But of course, Mina is no stranger to her. Basically, she cried her eyes, but she faked them better than her. But Kamitani, on the other hand, is underestimating Mina. Many people can say Mina Shirakawa, not a big threat. I get it. But don't underestimate her now that she has grown up. Now, this recently, on the 10th of October, Mina Shirakawa, along with the Cosmic Angels, more consistent with Natsupoi and Tam, were facing off against Queen's Quest, more with Saya Kamitani, Utami Ishida, and Lazumi. But this particular match was more of a statement for Mina. A statement that telling Kamitani, do not underestimate me. Once again, Mina has Kamitani's number. She actually submitted her with the figure 4 leg lock. And of course, Kamitani had no other choice but to tap. But the obvious question does remain in this matter. Is Kamitani being overconfident? Or she's not taking Mina Shirakawa seriously? Or should she be worried? That's the thing. Because the way I see it, Mina can see. You're not taking me seriously, Kamitani. You think you have everything under control. Now, we have seen Mina, how much she has changed and grown since the 5-star. I feel the 5-star Grand Prix have made her a far more better wrestler. And I think that's the key point that changed. Is Kamitani going to lose the title to someone she's not underestimating? Because the way is this, I'm not gonna lie, Kamitani has been a fantastic white belt champion, but the obvious question remains: is she being overconfident? We don't know. We just gotta wait and see until, of course, November 3rd at the Hiroshima Goddess Festival. But as this moment forward, we have Mina Shirakawa, as you know, will be teaming up with Saki for the first time at the Goddess Tag League, where originally I presumed, because I thought she was going to team up with Unagi, but Unagi, as you know, I mentioned this before, Unagi is going to be stepping away from Stardom for a while to go freelance after the whole situation, but that's going to be on a separate timing. And I think Mina is going to have couldn't pick a much better wrestler than Saki. Saki is a 10-year vet. She has more experience, and not to mention, she's a double champion in tag team division in 2 different promotions, and I think that's going to help her more, because one day I know for a fact Mina will obtain those tag team titles. It may not happen today, but it could happen at any given time. So we'll just gotta wait and see when that day comes. So I think that's pretty much it. So we just gotta wait for Mina, and I believe we should move on to our final thing: news updates. Okay, now our news updates. First things first, I want to congratulate on Kyrie Rey, who is now 1 year sober. She put like one of those chips on her Twitter page. Now, as you know, uh, Kylie Ray has been Kyrie Ray has been dealing with a lot of issues, and she's getting better and better, and we're very proud of her. I'm sure many of you are proud of her too, so keep up the good work, Kyrie. So we're right behind you. Now, in the world of Chris Bay, as you know, the Art of Finesse, it was later announced by Impact Wrestling that he signed a multi-year contract with Impact. So that looks more likely he's going to be continuing his work. But I've been hearing that WWE has an interest in Chris Bay. So, however, that doesn't seem it's going to happen anytime soon now that he signed his contract. Now, I found an interesting article regarding MJF. Now, MJF, as you know, he is one of those wrestlers we like to enjoy, but he talked that he praises Alexander Hammerstone. He says that he would be a good asset in AEW because he's been making headways. Now, this is what he said about him. Alex Hammerstone is a guy. He's in MLW promotion that I feel surprisingly underrated. If Alex Hammerstone was on a big platform like All Elite Wrestling, he would be a huge get. I'm fairly certain that he's a staple guy there. He's not going anywhere, to my understanding. He's making good money, not MJF money. Who is making MJF money? Pretty much me. Pretty much no. I think he's an incredible talent. He's been for a long time. Great body too. What about him? So basically, he sees that he could be a perfect acquisition to obtain in, of course, in AEW. But however, MLW has always been behind of Alexander Hammerstone. I think that's what MJF believes, that he will be a great addition to AEW. But however, he is still the MLW top guy, and no telling when he'll be leaving. Now, as you know, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla has announced for their upcoming event, DINK, that will be taking place on the 6th of November. So now here are the matches that were announced by them on their Twitter page. We're going to have 2 huge debuts coming from Mexico. We got Commander and Latigo making their debut, but they will be on opposite sides in a trios match. Commander will be teaming with Aramis and Bandito to take on Latigo, Laredo Kid, and Black Taurus. That's going to be a banger of a match. We have the Dark Order, the OGs, Uno and Stu Grace, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson taking on the Rascals, Trey Miguel and Myron Reed. And of course, we have Jordan Grace making her debut, and she faces Masha Slamovich. Kind of weird, isn't it? Now, our next match, Leo Rush makes his return to Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. He will be in the match against Speedball Mike Bailey. Titus Alexander versus Ray Horace. And of course, we have the PWG World title, Jonathan Gresham challenging Daniel Garcia for the title. So that's going to be great. Now, our final updates, all of it is all about GCW. If you guys have been aware now, GCW will be heading to Mexico starting tomorrow on Friday, which by the time the video comes out, it will be Friday. They'll be heading to Vanguardia to be in a versus match, and there's going to feature an exploding death match. Lovely. And then 2 days later, on a Sunday, they'll be facing off against Zona 23, which their venue takes place at a junkyard. We're gonna have 3 matches from these guys. Joey Janela will be facing Vegano, Drew Parker versus Ciclopse, and Alex Colon versus Miedo Extremo. So that's what's gonna happen down in Mexico. Then on the 22nd, we have Drop Dead, Shane Mercer versus Tom Vendetta, Commander versus Sean Skywalker, Jonathan Gresham versus Yamato, Nick Wayne versus Jonathan Gresham. No, was it? Forgot who it was. And then of course we got the tag titles. In a 3-way, we have the Mega Bastards versus Second Gear Crew versus Los Macizos. And then of course on the 29th we have Hit 'em Up, which is their upcoming event in LA. They'll be taking place on the 12th of November. We have, of course, for the first time in over a year, Nick Gage will be in action, and of course Leo Rush makes his return to LA as well. And then after that, as you know, the Nick Gage Invitational number 7 will be taking place. I mentioned 5 entrants. A 6th one has been announced, and that announcement will be Ciclopse. He will be taking part of this invitational, and I'm very excited how this goes. So I think that's pretty much it right now with our news updates. I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Hope you guys like the discussion about Mina. I hope all of that information is helpful. Learning more about her, what it is about, what makes her a good wrestler that enjoyed, who's now been growing up. And I think we can all agree. I hope you guys enjoyed the reviews I did with WrestlePro and Impact, and hope you guys get all the information, enjoy the information I've been throwing out about what's going on in pro wrestling, so that sort of thing. So coming up, as you know, we have AEW Rampage, and of course NXT Level Up, and I haven't decided there's going to be any new events. We'll see about that. I know that by the time this video, we're right now on the 13th. Over there's the 14th in Japan. There's Battle Anthem, which is the latest New Japan show. Hopefully I get to see that. If not, then we'll see what happens then. There's still some more Stardom events I haven't seen yet, but we'll continue on. So we'll see about that. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.